Major thing that I need people to know, that I think this is a mistake that a lot of people make, and it prevents you from dialing in on TRT. That is, you can't change your protocol ad hoc because in the first 3 days, 7 days, or even 14 days, libido and erections aren't good. And then you get this idea to change it. The chronic idea havers, oh, maybe I need to add this, maybe I need to do that, maybe I need to do that. You folks will never dial in. And what's worse is you're not going to have sexual function. You will be muted and dead in terms of sexual function if you're one of those chronic changers of your protocol. There are a few conditions in which it's okay to, after a week or so, change your protocol. And it's like not 85 to 90% of the situations. I want to describe to you some of the stuff that I've seen in client work, people's contentions that they might need to change. One of the big reasons people end up in a pickle regarding TRT because they're changing too much. And ultimately, the conditions you've got to set up to get dialed in, but also how to know when it's time to change and how to know, importantly, when it's not time to do anything. Stick around, boys. This really matters. All right, before we start the video, look, Cortex Labs, which is my company, is a TRT guidance, sexual dysfunction resolution, and performance optimization company. We do coaching on TRT and HRT, and we add a lot of products. Primarily important thing right now is coaching. Coaching is 50% off. There are limited slots open, less than what you see on the screen. This will save you thousands of dollars on any one-on-one package with me. If you got to fix libido and erections and dial in on your protocol, I'm the guy to do what I do this for many years all day. Importantly now, these one-on-one coaching packages you're saving thousands of bucks on each of them, substantially discounted 50%. Code is coach discount. Go book livecortex.com. We'll be on the fact-finding call to start as soon as tomorrow. Source list, any anabolic you can think of, including high-potency DHT gel. Sometimes you just have to circumvent the clinic. If you're going to dial in, you might have to have what you need to dial in. Get it, livecortex.com. It's 30% off. Code is on the screen, down the description of this video. All right, so I think we should start by saying, yeah, look, you understand the major point. A lot of people have ideas, these idea guys, to think, oh, maybe I need to increase the dose, or I just changed from cream to enanthate and libido and erections are failing and they were better on my cream protocol but not great, which is why you changed to begin with, and now things are worse. This protocol isn't working. Statement number one, okay, if you moved from a fast-acting ester to a long-acting ester like enanthate or cypionate, and generally speaking you change your dose on a long-acting ester like enanthate or cypionate, you're not touching anything for at least 3 weeks, ideally 30 days. Let me explain something to you folks. If you're at 150 milligrams a week of cypionate and you're injecting every day, you get a little HCG and a little DHEA in the protocol, and estradiol is at 57. When you, realizing that estradiol is inhibiting erections and making your libido subpar and probably muting your climaxes, reduce your dose down to 112 milligrams a week, same amount of microdose of HCG, 100 IU a day, 20 milligrams of DHEA in the morning, you're not realizing the full potential of that protocol, meaning specifically where the numbers actually land, where they're going to consistently be when you get to steady state for at least 4 weeks. That estradiol from 57 from your previous higher dose of cypionate, it takes a while to go down. And once it's down there, your body takes a little bit to adjust to that new normal of estradiol. And if you change it too quickly, you may miss the window completely, which would have been an extra 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe 1 week, because you're hyper interested in changing it because you're not getting the best results right away. When in reality, the estradiol could take 6 weeks, right, to get down to 27 picograms per milliliter, where your erections are going to be crazy, libido is great, sensation, climax, all that. And then your body might take an additional week to sort of normalize and adapt to that new level of estrogen, where then everything is going to be functional. But if you get an idea to add some Masteron or something, especially without looking at the bloods, then you're just going to fuck it up and prolong the process of dialing in. Let's talk about changing from a short ester. So if you're on cream or prop and for whatever reason you just can't dial in, because even though the fast-acting esters are awesome, some people can't dial in on them without proper guidance, you change to testosterone enanthate. At that point, that cream that has been peaking to 1,000 every day or higher, a day later, 2 days later, it's out of your system and your test is going to drop. Then, because of that test dropping, libido and erections are going to go awry. The DHT is going to drop. You're probably going to have leftover estradiol because that takes longer to metabolize out. And then you're going to think this new enanthate protocol sucks. 2 weeks later, let me just go back on the cream that I couldn't dial in, or the prop that I had a hard time dialing in. And then you're going to extend the time within which you are not dialed in. So let me give you an example to break this down thoroughly, especially relating to long esters, on how long this takes and why you must, even though it sucks, be patient in the meantime, or just going to screw up your protocol ongoingly. I had a dude at 200 milligrams a week of cypionate. He was doing every 3.5 day injections of 100 milligrams. He had 100 IU of HCG, 20 milligrams DHEA in the protocol, running those every day. Now, that dude's estradiol was at 68 picograms per milliliter. No AI, no DHT derivative. That's just where the estrogen landed. And I mean, as some of you might imagine that have experience with this, like he had floppy dick syndrome, he could not get it up, had to use a lot of Cialis, and that wasn't even enough. Sometimes combining Cialis and Viagra, which kind of pushing the border of a little dangerous, frankly. Libido was meh. Climaxes were a little dull. And he had tried to change the protocol many times before eventually just coming to me for coaching. So gets with me, I hear the whole story and I understand a few things right away because I've seen this hundreds of times. Number one, he doesn't respond to AIs. Number two, he doesn't respond to DHT derivatives. So we can't take a high dose. This guy just cannot, and a lot of people just cannot, take high doses of testosterone. So I know right away we've got to go down to that range of 85 to 120 milligrams. We get him down to what ultimately ends up being 119 milligrams a week. We're doing daily injections, same 100 IU of HCG, same 20 milligram DHEA per day. In 4 weeks, when we ran labs again, the estradiol was now at 41 from 68. And sexual function was better, but not completely better. This is the point at which you want to have a little pause. It's only been 4 weeks. Protocol still stabilizing. He wanted to change. He wanted to go back. He's like, I just want to go back on the higher doses. Maybe I'll try running an AI again. I'll try running the DHT derivatives again. But again, me, the guy that's been doing this for years, I've seen this hundreds of times. I said, brother, what is likely to happen here is if you give this another 3 weeks, so we're talking about a month and 3 weeks, 7 weeks, 7 weeks in total. You give this another 3 weeks, try to get back to your life, not focus on it, not worry about it. Let's see, does the estradiol go down even further? He agrees, reluctantly, thankfully. 3 weeks later, the estradiol is at 32 picograms per milliliter. And now, libido has returned, sensation has returned, climax has returned, EQ's about 85-90% with 5 milligrams Cialis a day. Number one, that's passable. Okay, that's passable for penetrative sex and in a lot better position than a lot of other guys who are spinning their wheels trying to dial in on TRT. But number two, all we have to do, now we have the exact picture of what we need to do to get him in the sweet spot. All we got to do is take that 119 down to a slightly lower dose. So we do this. From his perspective, he was like, okay, got it. I understand. Now I just want estrogen in the range. Let's go with the lower end of the threshold. We put him on 105 milligrams a week. Goes to 105. Within that 2 week period, he had a great window where everything was perfect and he thought he was dialed in. He was reporting to me, as my clients do, every other day, every third day or so. Looked like we were on the right track. Within 2 weeks, though, the estrogen had dropped further down, slightly below his sweet spot. He started having symptoms of low estradiol and ultimately low test. And because we had made that move to 105, which is a lowish dose of testosterone, it was just a little bit too low. I had to take over and say, okay, this is what I suggest. This is what we should do. Let's bump it up to 112. Let's keep everything else the same. We're going to give this 3 weeks. We're going to run labs on everything and see where it is. We did that. 3 weeks later, estradiol clocks in at 28 picograms per milliliter. Boom. Guy was dialed in. Now, had he taken his own advice and went back up to the higher doses because he had an idea, maybe they'll work better, maybe I'll do this. Like, people don't have the patience for the long esters, and I know they suck in that regard, and that's why prop and cream can be awesome if you're surgical and can dial in. But had he taken his own advice, he basically just would have screwed himself. And the time it would take at that point to dial in just would have been much longer. It would have been much more of a headache, and the guy would have been super frustrated, as we all know you can get in that state. Right? So that's a good example. It may take a month and 3 weeks or 2 straight months, especially after lowering a dose, for the estrogen to get where it needs to be, you have to have a little pause. Just some patience, boys. Otherwise, you're going to make the wrong decision and fuck up your protocol for the foreseeable future. Any dose change from, well, you're on a long ester. You reduce that dose. The estrogen's going to take time. 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks. It might happen sooner. It all depends on how you're metabolizing estradiol. The system, obviously, taking some calcium B-glucarate will clear the estrogen faster. But boys, you've got to give it time. Now, if you hate that and you'd rather be one of those people that like has the opportunity to dial in quicker because your brain works like that and you want to make changes right away, then just go on a fast-acting ester, okay? You go on 30 milligrams of prop a day. Then it's like you could give it a week and a half. Run labs of estradiol at ultimately the peak of prop, which is probably 17, 18 hours later. If you can manage that, run those labs. You see estradiol is at 46 or something, and you're on 30 milligrams of prop a day with some HEG, 100 IU a day, DHEA 20 milligrams. You get that's kind of standard for people's protocols. That's why I always mention it. Then you recognize we've got to drop that dose. You drop it to 20, and then within a week and a half, 2 weeks, there you're going to see significant estradiol reduction, right? You might be down there in the 25 to 35 range. You might be 27, 28. You might be 20, you might be 19. It all depends on how you metabolize it. But there, quicker, you can see what the result is and make another decision on how to proceed forward with changing your protocol. But you can't be doing that with long esters, man. This stuff takes time. At the same time, even when it comes to short-acting stuff like cream and prop, especially if you're coming from long-acting esters. Again, the same principle applies. You start cream 3 pumps a day, and a month later, your erections and libido are not up to par, and they're still particularly bad. Well, what if you were on 200, 180, 150 even, and you aromatize a lot of test-sip before, and you had estradiol at 68? It's going to take time, even though you're on a fast-acting ester, for the estrogen to get down where it needs to be. So you don't change your cream dose at that point. You don't get an idea to add 10 milligrams of prop because maybe that will help. You can't be shooting in the dark like this. You fucking wait it out. Okay? You give all that long ester time to get out of your body and the estradiol time to metabolize out of your system through your urine and otherwise. And then you run labs again. Call it a month and a half or so. After that long ester is out of the system, that's enough time to see generally where the estradiol is going to go. And the numbers are going to look different than they did at week 3 and then they did at week 4 of cream when you're switching from a long ester. Here's the other thing. A lot of people get, these grand ideas like hybrid protocols. Hybrid protocols are one of the most effective approaches at dialing in libido and erections on TRT, particularly because if you can get estrogen in range and you add a little bit of cream on top of a long ester, you're going to have more DHT, but estrogen still in a pretty good place. But people use the idea and the excitement of hybrid protocols the absolute wrong way, and I see this all the time. They're on 120, 130 milligrams a week of cypionate, and they get the grand idea, let me add 2 pumps of cream on top of that for the DHT. Well, if you're at 120, 130, chances are, even if you're a regular aromatizer, estrogen's probably around your range, maybe over your range. You add more cream, 2 pumps of cream at the high concentration stuff, yes, it's going to give you more DHT, but it's also going to bump the estradiol up. People get the same grand idea in those situations. Well, let me add 10 milligrams of prop a day. It's just this vague notion that adding prop is going to fix things. That's shooting in the dark, boys. Think about the dynamics of the metabolites in these cases. Prop shoots E2 up and then it doesn't stay up, it troughs back down. But if you're in an unreasonable place in terms of estradiol with your current protocol, you add prop thinking it's going to fix the situation, all it's going to do is bump estrogen up 10 to 15 points at the peak, and then it's going to come down and land like maybe 5 points in that window, and you're not going to be dialed in. No haphazard decisions. I've learned in years of coaching that what makes me a good coach is I've already seen all of these cases multiple hundreds of times. So I know when to wait. I know when to fire off. I know when to be aggressive. I know when to be patient and give it time. And I'll have clients sometimes, are you sure? Are you sure? I'm really thinking about changing something. Libido and erections aren't great. I've seen your case 600 times. Believe me, stay with it. 3 weeks later, E2's in range, erections are back, libido's back, and they go, thank you. I've seen weird cases too where even on the short-acting stuff, when there's no long ester in the protocol previously, and estradiol should not be like, super high from the long ester, and estrogen's kind of in the range, that people change too quickly. A week and a half goes by and somebody wants to change something. I've seen that mess things up because your body's now used to this semi-lower level of estradiol. Then you bump the dose up just a little bit, and then you end up peaking. Your body freaks out and makes a bunch more estradiol, shuts your dick down further, your libido's toast, and now you're up the creek. As crappy as it is to have to wait, a lot of times you do just have to wait. And here's my advice in the meantime. Study it. Ask ChatGPT questions, ask it, when is the estradiol on this long ester going to go down to the normal range? And then when is my body thereafter going to adapt to that range where it's going to land? And at the same time, during that time, move on with the rest of your life, okay? If you're having sexual dysfunction on TRT, you're not going to date. You're not going to date, okay? Forget about it. Focus on dialing in your protocol because, again, all you're going to do is prolong the time it takes to get you dialed in. If you get, anxious and start panicking and wanting to change the protocol, you're doing yourself a disservice. Boys, give it the time. Let it balance out, okay? Estrogen might not land in your sweet spot at that point, but 6 weeks later, 7 weeks later, then check it. Check it again. Make a decision, and don't be quick to rush to change something even then, because it might go down further. Here is the one condition where you kind of can change the protocol within a 3-week period, whether it's a fast-acting ester or it's a long ester. That condition is when estrogen is already in range, because you were on a low dose of prop or you were on a low dose of cream, you're on a lower end dose of an injectable, and the estrogen's already at 25. It's like, well then, since you have a lot of room to work with, it's already pretty low. And the adjustments that you make are just going to reflect on the bloods relatively quickly because there isn't a 40 picograms per milliliter estradiol that has to drop to get to your target. You're already around your target. Second condition, I should add, is when estrogen's in range and you're trying to get add-on DHT to the protocol just to strengthen erections and strengthen libido, strengthen sensation. There, if you bring in a little bit of low concentration cream on top of your injection protocol that lands you where estrogen is in range, it doesn't really take that long, a couple weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so, for that DHT to start kicking in, affecting the sex organs, and then supercharging sexual function. That could happen in 2 weeks. But if you've got a long way to go, just think about the fact that if you're at 170 and you're moving down to 119 in test per week, all that testosterone from the long ester is going to take a month and some change to even clear out, which means as it's doing that, it's fucking aromatizing. So you can't make a decision based on leftover tests that's still aromatizing. That's not what your new protocol is going to be. It's going to be the new protocol of your lower dose. And until that test is out, and until it stops aromatizing and mucking up your protocol, you can't really make any decisions on what to do. And you shouldn't. So boys, stop getting bright ideas. Stop wanting to change things so fast. I have had some hard clients over the years. Most people generally follow my instructions and get better quickly. But I've had some hard clients over the years that just do not want to wait the appropriate time. They get a new idea. Maybe I should bring in a Arimidex. Maybe I should up the dose. Can I try a milligram of Arimidex with 200 milligram shots? It's going to take us a month and a half or 2 months to dial in if you want to do that. You don't want to be that guy. I have enough experience in doing coaching with real men on TRT trying to dial in specifically libido and erections to know that 90-something% of the time when people get panicked and want to move too quickly, it's a bad move. And all it does is make the time to dial in much longer, which makes everybody more frustrated and keeps you in the non-Goldilocks zone. You want to get there quickest? Sometimes getting there quickest is about taking a little longer to pause and letting the protocol get to where it's going to be. However, boys, if you don't want to go at this alone, which I completely understand. I mean, there's things in my business that I just don't have time for and I'm not an expert on. So I'm going to pay the marketer to do one thing or the other. I'm going to pay people to do things and it's way easier for me. If you don't want to, if you've been trying to dial in your TRT protocol for libido and erections and it's just not working no matter what you've tried, this is what I do. Hire me. I'm a specialist on this and I get results. I'm very aggressive and I know what to do in what situations. Best part about coaching right now is that it is 50% off. You heard that right. 50% off saves you thousands of dollars on one-on-one coaching with me, where I am in your corner to dial you in. Believe me, we'll get libido and erections functioning epically. All right, this is the biggest discount that I have ever run on coaching ever. It is not going to be around forever because the slots that I have left, which is less than 20 at this point, because more people booked over the weekend and more people booked last week, it's not going to stay forever. They're filling very quickly. You're going to hate yourself if you're trying to get on board with coaching with me, fix TRT protocols, get your libido and erections back, and get everything smooth and streamlined. If you wait and then what? You have to pay full price sometime down the line. Just do it now. Book me, livecortex.com. The code is coach discount. We'll be on the fact finding call as soon as today, depending on when you place the order, or tomorrow. Within 24 hours, Geronimo, brother. All right, source list. If you guys need to get, compounds that you can't get from your clinic, you need to circumvent them because you're trying to dial in, you want to go out this alone, totally fine. But in a lot of cases, you're going to have, you're going to need access to everything. Source list gives you that, including high potency DHT, very, very surgically useful in TRT protocols. It's 30% off. Code for that is source30. It's down in the description of this video as well as on the screen. All right, it's been epic chatting with you guys because, and all this week of content. Hold on. What's wrong with this chair? God, it doesn't move. Damn it. Cool. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you just like the video, it makes a big difference in the algorithm. And I just... The mic. Sorry. I'm not talking into the mic. So you guys can't really hear me. So just grab it real quick here. Give me this! God, the video's over. Been epic hanging out with you guys. Hope you had a great weekend. Yeah, do me those two favors. Like the video, please. Makes a huge difference to the algorithm. It'd mean a lot to me. Smash the like button, bro. Secondarily, sub to the channel. We are one of the fastest growing TRT channels that talks specifically about sexual function. One of the hardest things to dial in on HRT. It's what we do. I'd love to have you on board. Otherwise, kick ass, rock on. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. More content every day this week. So look forward to it. And my brother's in test. I'll chat with you on the next one.